ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So, Terri, progress is happening in your bathroom?
Yeah, the bathroom reno is proceeding. I can't exaggerate how tiny this bathroom is, and it seems like it's the kind of thing you could just redo in an afternoon. But of course, everything takes time, and it's actually, given the things that can go wrong with contractor stuff, it's been going pretty quickly. They started last Tuesday, and now everything is done except they have to put in the shower, they have to put the toilet back, they have to hook up the sink, and they have to put on the shower doors and the shelf and the toilet paper thing and a medicine cabinet. So
But everything else is done.
yeah, today he painted and put the floor in. It looks very nice. And he took this little vanity with a little sink on it that I got that just fits in this little teeny tiny space. And it looks really nice. And we had gotten a medicine cabinet to go over it. And he didn't like the way it attached to the wall. He said it's going to fall off, which of course I don't want. So we now have to get something new. And now I'm looking at it and saying, I don't know if I want a medicine cabinet. Do I want a medicine cabinet? How do you guys feel about medicine cabinets?
Yeah, you need a medicine cabinet.
This space for the sink is tiny. And we had a huge sink in it before that stuck out into the doorway. And now I found this nice petite little sink and vanity that fits so beautifully. And I'm afraid like a medicine cabinet's going to loom over it. And you're going to lean down to splash water on your face and stand up and bonk your head on it.
When we did ours, we don't have one because we have a vanity that has drawers, so we did not do a medicine cabinet. Yeah. I mean, if you have a different option for storage in that room.
Yeah, I mean, when we cleared out our old huge honkin' medicine cabinet to throw away, we used like a quarter of one shelf. So we don't have a lot. We don't have a lot of storage need. But the vanity is quite petite and does not have a shelf or a drawer. And it's basically about the right size for putting the toilet bowl cleaner and stuff, which is what I wanted it for in the first place, because we've had this huge sink with no storage beneath it. So you just have your cleaning things just kind of laid out there on the floor under the sink, and it looked awful. So there's really only enough room for that. We're going to put a shelf over the toilet, I think. And I'm thinking we could, like in our dorm days, we could get some cute little plastic things and put all our toiletries in them and put them up on this shelf. And that's how they'll be stored. So, because the petite little sink doesn't really have a lot of top space.
Right. I'm thinking as long as you have storage, that's what matters. Whether it's a medicine cabinet or, if you've got other storage ideas, but you're going to need it. I
keep going back and forth. I mean, my priority is to have a mirror that I can see myself in, whether it's attached to a medicine cabinet or just a mirror on the wall, because the mirror we've had in the past has shown like my hairline and pretty much nothing below. So its effectiveness is limited. It's been okay for Rick shaving, but it's done me no good whatsoever. So it's like, can't we just get a long mirror and stick it right against the wall over this petite little sink and vanity? That'll be fine. We'll put our toothbrush out in the bedroom. It's fine.
Well, or what if can you get one of those little things that hangs on the wall to put your toothbrushes in?
Yeah, we could do that. That's what I'm thinking also, that we have a little wall space. I think we could do that. So, I don't know. I'm tending towards the keep it simple, just nice little flat mirror against the wall. I mean, if we hate it, we can always change it, I guess.
I don't know. I think you're going to regret it.
I hate the mirrors I got.
You do? Do you wish you had gotten a medicine cabinet?
No, but I hate the mirrors. And I also don't like the cabinet that I bought to put over the toilet.
Yeah. I don't think I want a cabinet. I mean, again, the smallness of this space, everything as flush to the wall as possible is desirable. It's just so tiny. But now we have a light that works. Yay.
And the floor's not going to fall in
and the floor's not going to fall in. And it looks very pretty. It's a very pretty vinyl fake wood. It sounded like it would be awful, but it looks nice. Fake wood grain and everything printed into the vinyl. But no, it looks good. But then half of the room looks beautiful and finished, and half of the room looks like some kids came through and graffitied it because it's like the area where the shower is going to go. They haven't put up the shower walls yet, so it's just sheetrock and spackle and various different colors of waterproofing he's put on. So it's got white and red and blue. But
that's all temporary.
That is all temporary. The thing is, we've now been going right along at a clip. The guys have been coming. The inspector, I called the inspector. They came the next day to check things. It went really easily. But now we can't get the plumber on the phone. So that's a little worrisome. Because the plumber has to do his thing before the handyman can finish his thing. Right. So the plumber will put in the shower walls and he will return the toilet to its spot and hook up the sink. And then we'll be able to do everything but take a shower because you kind of need shower doors for that.
Right.
And that is the handyman's responsibility. So far it's been going really good. But if we now don't hear from the guy for a week, I'm going to be a little ticked.
Yeah.
Sharing a bathroom with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
fun stuff.
I mean, we're lucky because the last time we did a bathroom reno at our old house, we didn't have another shower in the house. So we had to go over to my husband's mother's house to take a shower. And that was, we took a lot of sponge baths.
Don't you have a suite downstairs? Don't you?
Now we do.
Downstairs?
Yeah. But that's, I think I've said that it's kind of falling into genteel rot down there just because nobody ever uses it or does anything down there. And so I just don't like to go down there at all. I hide my eyes as I walk through if I have to get something from the refrigerator down there because I'm sure there's problems and I just don't want to know about them. So, but hopefully by the time we podcast next week, this will all be done. I will try to post pictures of it, but I just tried taking pictures now and it is so small that I can't get far enough back to take everything in one picture.
Right.
Well, we will look forward to your before and after.
That's right.
The before was pretty awful. So yes, the floor is now completely repaired and all sorts of waterproof stuff to supposedly help that from happening again. We shall see.
Good.
But so far it looks really pretty.
Yay.
And I just hope that it finishes that way. And there's not something going in that's going to look awful.
No.
Keep your fingers crossed for me, everybody.
Will do.
Little tiny bathroom.
Yay. It's coming. Well, we will check back again on that next time. And for now, we'll say hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Catherine Haleko, and with me today are Terri Morrow.
Hello.
And Nicole Aradix.
Hi there.
And today on the podcast, we're going to talk about family conversations on our Friday speed round, hear an interview with Robert Rummel-Hudson, and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, we talk about our kids a lot on this podcast, but we have some other dependents that we don't always talk about, although sometimes you hear them in the background.
Yes,
like right now.
They are often unscripted guests.
That's right.
Our dogs. We each have one dog or two. And, we've been feeling more and more lately that we parent them too. So they're a proper subject to talk about on a parenting podcast, I think. I mean, I think many of us feel like our dogs are our children. And we come up with dilemmas that are not that dissimilar to the sorts of advice we might give parents about children. Like lately I've been feeling like I am a bad parenting expert by doing something that I would always tell people never to do with the children, which is that mom says one thing and dad says another. You have to be unified, right? Isn't that what we tell people? Mm-hmm. You have to make agreement. Yeah. You have to be a unified front. So let's just say that one of us in this house lets the dog on the couch and the other one does not let the dog on the couch. And I know how my husband feels about it. I know he gets angry when he sees the dog on the couch. I know he has strong feelings, and yet she looks so comfortable when she's sitting there. And it is comfortable. It's a very comfortable couch, and much more comfortable than the floor or her bed. And I don't really mind. Dogs are always on the furniture when I was a kid. And so I don't tell her to get down. And sometimes I sit next to her and pet her, which is really sending the wrong message. So I'm bad. If I was doing that with a kid, I would have all sorts of admonishments. But with the dog, it's like, well, she knows Yeah, I like to think that she knows that it's okay to be there when everybody else is home, but when the man comes home, she should get her little fuzzy tail off. And most of the time, she seems to know that. Occasionally, maybe she fell asleep, or maybe she's just like, you know what? I'm an old dog and this is comfortable. Deal with it, old man. But then there is
a price to pay.
Yelling. Then the dog is in trouble, and I feel guilty for not saying, you know what? I really actually let her do that. But so I feel like a parenting failure when it comes to the pet. How about you guys? Do you find yourselves doing things with the dog, parenting-wise, that you would not do with your kids? Or the same things that you do with your kids?
Well,
Catherine, how's your dog doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think like as with parenting, I feel invested in their behavior. Like it reflects on me, you know, which, you know, it probably should, you know, I mean, like the dogs are naughty in many ways. And yeah, it's our fault because we didn't train them enough to not do those things. In our defense, it's really hard to train two dogs at the same time. And if we try to separate them, like say we take one out in the backyard and try to work with it on training, then both dogs are freaking out because they're separated from each other and cannot concentrate. And also the biggest issue we have with the dogs, the biggest behavior problem is that when we walk them and they encounter another dog, there's a whole freak out situation that happens.
Yes,
but
ours too.
It's hard to train that out of them without another dog. You know what I mean? Like you need a Confederate. That's a canine Confederate trainer. Like we had a trainer and she brought her dog and, you know, it was a whole thing. And so anyway, these are all excuses, but I'm just saying it's hard.
We've mastered the art of if you see another dog coming, if we see the dog coming before our dog sees the dog coming, we make a quick turnaround and go a different way.
I'm going this way now.
And,
okay.
You know, head down an alley briefly while we watch for the other dog to pass. It's so bad because she freaks out. Much leash pulling when she sees another dog.
Yeah.
When we're out. Dogs and motorcycles and trucks and really anything that makes a loud noise. And it's an adventure. I won't walk her on the leash anymore. I have to have the harness on her because she can physically move me like into the street if she sees something she wants to chase.
Yes.
But then when you put the harness on, you feel so bad because it's like she can't go and sniff and pee on everything and, you know, do all her walking stuff. She has to stay by my side. So
well, mine outgrew the harness because she got too fat. One of them outgrew the harness.
Aww.
yeah.
So that also makes it difficult to walk her.
Yeah, it's hard. And I don't like to fight with her. I don't like, especially if there's people around, I want people to think I have control of my dog.
Yes.
Although people seem to think that we should have control about where the dog decides to pee. And I have not yet figured out. I guess that's a training thing. Can you train them, can you train them to wait till we're at a part of our walk where nobody's watching before we pee on stuff? Right. I would be happy just with that alone. It's just, no, there's people here. No. Don't be on the side wall of the high school while there's people watching.
You can only do it
the other day and made some comments.
Oh, I hate
It's
that.
like, you know, by the time I know she's going to pee, she's already kind of doing it. She raises her leg, too. She's a weird girl dog. She raises her leg and marks
I had a
stuff.
boy dog that squatted, so, you know.
Apparently there's diversity in the dog community.
He's pansexual.
So how is your dog, Nicole? What sort of parenting stories do you have to tell about your pooch?
Oh, she's a
Who's
nightmare.
eating a bone in the background as we speak.
She's a nightmare. Well, we stick to this particular breed, and I don't know why, because they're just, they're so difficult.
What breed is it?
The Hungarian Vizsla.
Oh.
And they're pointers that originated in Hungary, and they were hunting dogs. And then they were bred so that they hunted in the daytime, but then kept their owners warm at night. So she has this natural tendency to be like Velcro to us. They actually call them the Velcro dog. Like literally, she is like at my side 24/7. Like even, you know, on the bed, right? We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But we can't, it's just a nightmare if we try and put her elsewhere.
Velcro dog sounds like the kind of thing that sounds good until you actually have to live with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, get away from me.
I know. She's constant. Like if I'm sitting on the couch, she's not happy to sit on the floor beside me. She has to sit on me, like on me, like half on me. And she honestly, my husband will get up in the morning and do his routine. She won't get up until I get up. And then I have to, you know, do all the feeding and the letting her outside. And like, even though my husband's been up and is willing to do it, she won't, she's like attached to me. She's like imprinted. Yeah. And she's so poorly behaved around other people. That's like the bane of my existence is when I have other people over. She's so badly behaved and I don't know what to do about it. I mean, half the time I put her on a leash. Because if I lock her up, she barks.
Yeah.
And I can't put her outside because we have this big sliding glass window and she can see right in at us. So she's like, let me in.
Give you the guilt.
I know you're in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus it's like 105 degrees out there.
Yeah,
I
you really can't.
Aw.
So anyway, and a lot of our guests, for whatever reason, they just are not comfortable around dogs. So they get all stressed and nervous when she's around. It's just so challenging to have people over. And admittedly, we do have people coming and going, especially with my daughter's friends. And, you know, there's just a variety of people in and out of the house. And, she's terrible. She just, honestly, I mean, we had Joshua's graduation party a couple of years ago, and we had 40 people over here. We actually put her in the kennel for the night. Like I could not handle having her in the house.
Less stressful for all concerned.
Yeah, so but you know, then the flip side is when it's just us, she's so loving and just wants to please all the time. And so, yeah, I'm probably not the best at parenting her, neither is my husband.
And she won't even eat lizards for you.
No,
she won't. She could earn her keep.
I know. Like, there are very few redeeming qualities about her.
You're gonna have to go apologize to her pretty hard after this podcast.
I know. She just walked away. She just got up and walked away from me, which is very rare.
Mommy didn't mean it.
No, actually, she went to the garbage to pull out some garbage, so she wants to make trouble.
Our dog, her destructive habit is to take tissues out of a trash can and just lay them on the carpet. And my husband gets so upset. And I'm like, you have no idea that is the best destructive behavior she could possibly have. You just pick the tissue up and throw it back away.
She doesn't even shred it up. She just takes it out. She doesn't even shred it. It's just she's I am showing my dissatisfaction with this tissue on your carpet. Oh. Very delicately removes it from the
I know.
So it doesn't rip.
I think it's the cutest thing. My husband does not. I should say that the dog was... Every dog we've had was sort of obtained against his will. So he has never wanted a dog, but the three of us have wanted a dog, and we've sort of overruled him. Like, oh, you'll love it, honey. It'll be good. And he doesn't. So he never had a pet growing up. So he's not so interested. But he's the one who walks her most and takes care of her in other ways. So we are the terrible people who... inflict a pet on an uninterested family member and then make that person do all the work. So, and that's where he's patient.
I'm the main parent in this family too. So my husband spoils her more than I do. I mean, he's just as bad. He's terrible. He feeds her people food, which I totally hate. She's up on our couches. Oh, she's just... Yeah.
The funny thing is that I think of all of us, the dog we have now, at any rate, loves him the best. Mm-hmm. She will just stand there and look at him adoringly. Even if he's, finding her a nuisance, she's like, that's my man.
Even though he doesn't let me sit on the couch, I forgive him. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And then of course she looks at me like the competition, I think. So
Yeah.
I get the stink eye a lot.
Yeah, sure.
And she always sits in my seat in the couch, so that might be sort of a territorial thing.
Yeah, she's trying to take over.
Yes. I would sit on your part of the couch and drool on it. So, at least I hope it's drool. It's a little wet. I'm going with the drool. Yeah. But then, of course, Catherine, you and I both have the issue of dogs
capturing,
having a violent streak, I guess. I am mortified and upset by the fact that my dog would really, the highlight of her day would be to go out and kill her a groundhog and carry it around the yard with a big smile on her face. I've never seen her so happy as when she killed that groundhog. She looked like it was just best day ever. And I'm like, a poor living creature. She killed a little baby bunny once, and I was, she's like, hey, I'm a carnivore. I'm a hunting dog. It's in my blood.
Yeah.
Calm down. And I'm like, it's a bunny. Oh my gosh, what did you do?
The worst one was that my dog got was a little bird. It was like a songbird. It was just it wasn't like an endangered species. It was just like a little sparrow or whatever. But it was flying too close to the ground, and I watched it happen. I couldn't stop it. I was like, but just fly higher. You'll be fine. The dog's only 1 foot tall. And no, it was too late for that little bird.
Oh, that is upsetting.
She just chomped it.
We were taking a walk and we saw like a bird. It looked like maybe it had left the nest too soon, and it was just sitting on the sidewalk trying to figure out what it was supposed to do now, because I don't think it could fly. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, move the dog to the other side of the street. I don't want her to see it. Right. I don't want her to see it. She'll eat it. And she would have.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is nice. They delivered.
Wow.
But
my dog won't. She'll make friends with him.
Even though she's a hunting dog?
Oh, haven't you seen that picture I posted? There was I think it was on Instagram, there was a bird that hit our sliding glass door, so it was a bit stunned.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it fell to the ground, and it was just kind of standing there for the longest time. It wouldn't move.
Uh-huh.
And I had to let Missy out to the bathroom. So I tried to kind of guide her away from the bird.
Right.
And thinking that, oh my God, she's going to attack it, because this poor vulnerable bird is there. And then something caught my attention, and then I lost track of her, the dog. And the next thing I know, she's over, beak to nose with this little bird. And she's just sniffing it.
Was she providing first aid and giving it flying directions?
This poor bird must have been absolutely terrified, but too stunned to move. And she's sniffing away. And she's also done that with my son's hamster. When my son had a pet hamster.
Oh my gosh.
The hamster was running loose in my son's room, and Missy was the one that found it. The hamster was in the corner. We couldn't figure out. She kept standing in this corner whining. She was just standing there whining, and we're like, what's going on? Went over, and this poor little hamster's in the corner shaking in fear, and Missy's just looking at it. And so I guess she fails as a hunting dog.
Yes. My son kept asking for a hamster. I was like, oh my God, that thing would last 2 minutes, because that's what my dogs go after, is little rodents. I mean, they would be like
squirrel.
Yeah. And it's so funny because my one, the one who got the bird, we have this huge oak tree in our backyard, and it's right next to another tree. And she will sit at the bottom of the tree, stock still, looking up into the tree for 30 minutes. And this is a dog who cannot sit still. I mean, we joke because we'll sit down on the couch or something, and she'll sit down next to us, and we'll just say, okay, start the timer, because she just is fidgety. She gets up and walks around. But if she's watching squirrels, man, she will sit there and sit there and sit there.
Focus.
She has a great deal of patience for that.
Well, it sounds like we have just as much to say about parenting dogs as we do parenting kids.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the dogs can't hear what we say about them on the podcast, so there's less of a repercussion. We should just talk dogs every
That's
day.
right. From here on out, it's a dog podcast. And we've all established that we're terrible at training and taking care of dogs, so we should have no problem.
We're terrible dog parents.
We should have no problem
Feel free to
developing an
judge.
audience for that.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Y'all can feel superior out there.
Exactly.
We acknowledge. How many dogs have you guys had since you've had families? We're like on our third shelter dog.
Yeah, these are number 2 and 3 that we have right now.
Yeah, this is number 3.
Yeah.
So
Extensive dog experience, and we still don't know what we're doing.
I don't know about extensive. I never had one.
I'm blaming the breed. I'm not blaming me.
I never had one when I was a kid. We never had.
I did.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I had one dog who was so smart she learned how to climb over the fence, and we could never figure out how she got out. But she was a little too smart because she then got hit by a car.
Aww.
So then we got another dog who was not nearly as smart, but she stayed alive a lot longer.
She was smart enough to stay alive.
She was smart enough to stay in the dang yard and not run across the street.
Right.
But so I've always had dogs, and I wanted my kids to have dogs, and I wanted to have a dog. You have a house, you have a yard, you want to have a dog. I had a cat when I was in apartments, but for a house I wanted a dog. So
Can't do cats.
I overruled the master of the house 3 times. It will be fine, honey. But this dog we have now is by far the most rambunctious and difficult to control. She's a sweetie, and once she gets over that excitement, she's fine.
Right.
But, she can definitely do some damage to small animals and to me if she pulls really hard on the leash when I'm not prepared.
My last dog did knock over my mom one time, which my mom who has, no experience with dogs either, and she had the dog on the leash, and I said, and the dog was starting to pull her, and so my mom started going faster, and I said, no, don't do that, don't do that. She'll run, she'll pull you down, and yep, that's what happened. She was okay.
When I was a kid, in between our 2 dogs, we had gotten a dog that was bigger than we were used to, and we left her out at night, and when my dad went out in the morning, he was like looking for the dog, and all of a sudden these 2 paws went up on his shoulders. And he turned around, and this dog had just been rolling around all night and was covered with burrs. It had like that kind of poodle hair. It was this huge dog, and he said, no, this one's not for us. I don't know if we had the dog on spec or what, but we were able to trade it in on a more manageable model.
Ours have been interesting, to say the least.
Have you gotten, so yours is a breed, Nicole, is it? Did you get it from an official breed type thing? Because ours have just been mixes and mutts.
Well, the first dog we bought was a yellow lab. So we bought him from a breeder, not a very reputable one. He was super aggressive for a lab. He was like highly aggressive. And then the last 2, the Vizslas, one was bought sight unseen. we actually had him flown from the other side of the country.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was a puppy, because my husband got him from a breeder in Ottawa, in Canada. And I didn't know we were getting this dog. My husband just came home with it one day. Anyway, it's a good thing I like dogs.
A puppy, no less. That's a lot of work.
And then this last dog we have, we call her pre-owned. She's used material. She was with a breeder for several years, and she was a show dog and had litters and whatnot. And the breeder decided that she didn't want her anymore, and basically gave her to us for like $100. So yeah, we got her, and she's been the best one yet. So,
but that's why she's a little insecure.
Way. She is. Love me, don't leave me. Don't send me back. We actually threatened her. We're gonna send you back. We're gonna take you back to the desert.
Oh, wow. So you better be nice to all those lizards, because you may be living with them. See, you're sending the wrong message there.
Well, maybe that's why she doesn't go after the lizards, is because she's used to them.
That's true.
So yeah, she's been quite the dog. That's for sure. So she was the blue light special. We got her on discount. She was on clearance. So anyway, yeah. So that's our dog story.
So we had to stop our dog discussion for a little bit, and now as we return, I find that we have even more things to talk about. Catherine, what was it that your dogs devoured this morning?
Part of a gutter.
You didn't really need that.
Yeah, it's like where the downspout comes out. The dogs have figured out that little critters like to go in there and hang out, and so they cannot abide that.
No.
So they have to get in there and and find them. So that involved chewing up this giant plastic piece of gutter. There another time. This is like a continuing battle between my husband and the dogs and the gutters.
Yeah.
Like he keeps on coming up with new ways to enclose them. And one time over the summer, I heard one of the dogs crying at the back door, and I went outside, and he had this big piece of PVC pipe like around his neck and his face, and I am so sad that I could not take a picture because it was hilarious, because it was just like his little snout sticking out from this big piece of PVC pipe. But he was so upset that I could not stop and take a picture. He was so freaked out. So I had to free him. It was funny.
Sorry.
And Nicole, your dog has some excitement this morning?
Well, yes. She, for whatever reason, we've had the same lady coming every 2 weeks for the past 9 years, and my dog just has to let me know she's not happy about it. So it doesn't matter what I do with her, where we go. Remember I told you previously that I have issues with her when people come over to the house? Yeah, this is it.
She just likes you.
Yeah, she's like, please do not be here. Leave my house. I don't know what you're doing. I don't like it. I know my mother likes it when you're here. But I'm not having fun. And I'm, the door's just shut and I'm sitting here hanging out with her. And anyway.
Well, so if listeners, if you hear barking from here on in, it will be...
Yes, I apologize.
A strenuous objection against Merry Maids by the canine occupants of Nicole's
Please don't
house.
take offense, Merry Maids. It's just the dog.
Nicole's dog is on to you.
Yes. Or maybe, yeah. It could be my husband encouraging my dog to be grumpy about it.
Drive these people off and save us some money, will you please?
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Well, one of the
story for another day.
complicated things with pets, as is I think we've said with kids from time to time, kids who for whatever reason don't understand things, is that it's impossible to explain to them what's going on. You can't say, this person's going to be here for a little while, but then they'll leave. It's fine. You can't have a conversation with them.
Not at all.
Which leads us into our speed round for this week, speaking of conversations, right, Nicole?
That is right. I was thinking the other day, it was a Sunday morning, and I was having coffee, my husband's having coffee, and one of my fondest memories of growing up is Sunday mornings. My family would get together in the living room, and we rarely sat in the living room. The living room was really for only special occasions, the living room versus the family room. So Sunday morning we would convene in the living room, and we had lots of conversations in that living room, just chatting with one another, and lots of big life decisions were made, and lots of, so that family conversation time was super important. And I feel like I didn't really do a good job of establishing that in my family. I mean, we talk, but it's as needed. It's not this, let's sit down and have a conversation. It's not planned. It's not a tradition.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's better. Like how do you have a time where is it around the dinner table? Is it, how do you have these conversations with your family that, may not be necessarily important life decisions, but still are an opportunity to connect without
checking in
phones.
with each other and such.
Yeah.
We sort of do. I mean, we have dinner together pretty much every night. And we used to, on Sunday mornings, my husband would go out and get either donuts or bagels, and then we would eat breakfast together on Sunday mornings. But now he's working on Sundays, and we haven't really figured out another day to do that. I would like to say let's do it. He's off on Friday and Saturday now. Let's do it on Friday morning. But that hasn't quite happened yet. But still, we do have these times where we all sit down together. Do we converse? I don't know. We're not really conversing people. I mean, my husband's a pretty quiet guy. My kids generally have things to say, but they have their language difficulties. So sometimes it doesn't flow really easily, or it's sort of the same thing over and over again. And I feel like we should, and sometimes I will try to instigate, but it's usually not a full dinner sort of discussion. It's fits and starts. So, and then my husband and I have started up this habit, which is sort of anti-conversation. I feel bad because it shuts the kids out pretty entirely. But at dinner time, we go through the birthdays in the newspaper and on IMDb, the celebrity birthdays. And I read out the name and my husband has to guess how old they are. So that's become our dinner table discussion. So it's fun for him and me. But unless it's like somebody that my kids have heard of, it's not so much fun for them. So they just kind of eat quickly and book. But so we found a way to stamp out that nasty conversation. If anybody has something to say, they still generally do and can. Yeah. And we fill the time from there.
Yeah. It's, I guess it's what your family is also able to do and has the time for and interest in.
Yeah. So, Catherine, do you get a lot of conversations going in the car, driving back and forth from places? That can be a good place for it.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes that happens. But also we like to listen to music or the radio or whatever in the car too. And sometimes dinner times will be that kind of thing. I still remember once years ago, for some reason, the whole family we were having a business dinner with my husband. And I think my son was he was maybe 7 or 8. And he just said, well, and this was us and one other family with one kid and a bunch of business associates. And he said, let's go around the table and everyone say what your dream job would be.
Oh, no. Perfect.
It was very funny.
Perfect. Yes.
Everyone actually kind of enjoyed that moment. So, yeah, we'll sometimes have the dinner table conversation or the in the car conversation. And maybe more so if we go out to dinner, I guess. Than if we're at home.
That's
because
a good point.
There's more time, I guess, to do that.
And people can't just get up from the table and leave on their own. They're kind of stuck there for a period of time. That's right. We do have good conversations then. And periodically one of my kids will just come up and start talking to me about something. So we have one-on-one conversations, but the whole family, sometimes maybe.
Less common. Less common.
We just don't have that much to say. We text each other. It's fine.
Yeah. That's what we're becoming.
Yeah, my husband does enjoy texting my daughter from a different part of the house and then listening for her feet. It
has revolutionized shouting for a kid to come do something. You can now just text them and they come.
Oh, I know. It's great. Well, I don't know. I feel guilty for not, I don't know why I have it in my head that I have to have this sit down time with my kids. And I feel tremendously guilty for not establishing it. But yeah, there are other ways of communicating, which are perfectly acceptable. So
comment on each other's Facebook posts. Yeah, that's the way we do it these days.
Like their post.
It's all going down on Instagram.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, we would love to know what our listeners do, if they are traditionalists or they're progressive in their family communications. And let us know in the comments. And remember, you can hear a new speed round every Monday through Thursday.
And next we have an interview. We've not talked to Robert Rummel-Hudson in a little while, mostly because I kept forgetting to get in touch with him to schedule an interview. So we're very glad to have him with us today. He's the author of Schuyler's Monster, and he blogs at Fighting Monsters with Rubber Swords and also at Support for Special Needs. So let's hear what Rob has to talk about this month. So what's on your mind today, Rob?
Well, it's funny. Anytime we're talking about what topic we're going to discuss, I always feel like I'm looking for a topic, and then it just presents itself. So this is all very, what I had for lunch, but bear with me because we'll get to the big point.
Absolutely.
I know I'm really selling that. I know. So Schuyler uses an iPad to communicate. Everybody knows this. This is her thing. And recently, although not that recently, totally honest, but a few weeks ago, she got a crack in her screen. And it was still usable. No pieces were coming out. She wasn't drawing blood or anything. But, she had a crack in the screen. It was going to get worse. So I went through this whole thing today of contacting our wireless provider.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I probably shouldn't say their name because that wouldn't really be fair to Sprint, but
We have dissed products that have displeased us on this podcast before.
Let's call them Sprite.
Sprite has been getting your goat, has it?
Although Sprite would be refreshing, and this was just a pain in my butt. And the song and dance, the incredible song and dance that it took to get, and it's still not resolved. It's not even close to resolved. I have to go into a store and yell at a human rather than, a faceless on the phone, or even worse, the little chat window. The little chat window that'll help you.
I like those, if only because you can save them afterwards and then have an exact record of what was promised to you.
Yeah, that's good.
That got me extra health insurance once.
Although I will say it probably would be more embarrassing for me because, at some point they're like, oh, there's where he melted down. I actually told a person today that I needed to stop talking on the phone because I knew I was going to have an aneurysm.
Oh, no.
And I think I was kidding. She was like, oh, my goodness. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have an aneurysm, but you might because I'm really mad. Someone here's going home, in an ambulance, and it's not going to be me. So this seemed like the most frustrating experience in the world. But the thing I noticed, and I've noticed this before, I was actually kind of getting into it, and I thought, and that could be different reasons. Part of that could be, I'm a sociopath, whatever. There are many options. But it made me think about, I think this is something that maybe a lot of parents of kids with special needs can actually identify with. Yeah. This idea that there are certain things in the world, in our world, with our kids, that it just doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter how upset we get. It doesn't matter how smart we are. All that matters, it gets done to you. Your kid's medical stuff. You can get mad about it, but it's still there. You can get mad that society makes our kids' lives so hard when they don't have to be. You can get mad about school stuff, which you can fight, but you're going to lose. There are all these things that are just too big and that we learn to navigate. And I think being a parent of a kid with a disability comes down to navigating. How do you navigate these things that are just, it's a mountain. You're not going to knock it down. You got to find a way around it or die on it. Whatever that mountain presents to you. It doesn't involve you burrowing a tunnel through the mountain like a supervillain. And it's just a matter of deciding, figuring out when you're screwed and what that looks like and how you can respond to that and when you're empowered, which is almost never. So you go through so much time just being like, oh my God, I can't do anything about this. Yeah. And then some jackass from Sprint, comes up and is like, oh, well, we can't help you with this. This repair is going to take 7 to 10 days, and I know you've got a kid who communicates with that iPad. Yeah. But all right. Well, that's all of a sudden I've been looking at the mountain, and then there's just some guy in a little Sprint golf shirt telling me no. Yeah. Well, I'm ready for that guy.
I can take you, buddy.
And I swear to God, I've seen and heard this from other parents as well. Oh, really? Let's tango. I can do this dance. Yeah. And it's funny because I'm not any more empowered with the phone company than anywhere else. I mean, the phone company is one of those places where you probably are. It is probably its own mountain.
Yeah.
But man, it felt good to just be able to yell at somebody and not yell, because I'm not yelling, but I'm also I'm not being, they're giving me an answer and I'm saying, well, that answer doesn't work. Let's find a good one.
Right.
It's actually better and more satisfying. This is a terrible thing to say, but it's more satisfying to be polite and immovable.
Yes.
Than it is to be all like, you're making me crazy. I eventually got there. I eventually did tell someone they were going to give me an aneurysm. So that I had stepped out of the polite zone. But there's just that where you're like, well, you know what? That's not going to work, and here's why. So what else do you got? What else can you do that will get you to the point where you can hang up the phone and go shake in the break room for a little while? Because I know that's what you want. You want to get rid of me. And I understand that. I want to get rid of you. I'm not enjoying this. I'm at work. I'm wearing a tie and pretending to work while I yell at the phone guy. But there's something about those moments where you might affect an outcome, or your actions might actually make a difference. You might. Right. Yeah, and whether it's something, because I still feel like this was a pretty good cause. I mean, Schuyler without her iPad, although she has another one. Shh, don't tell Sprite. But but her current iPad, it does the cell phone thing, so she can text me anywhere, and her other one doesn't. So it's not I'm not a monster. I want what I want, but and it just struck me in that moment of just. These are what a weird thing to look forward to and feel positive about. The fact that, I'm not just outside shaking my fists at the sky. Yeah. Or, however you deal with the big pieces. I'm not in church begging God to cut my family a break. I'm not, whatever the thing is, whether you're at a bar throwing chairs or whether you're in church crying on your knees, it's still that same feeling of helplessness. Yeah. And all of a sudden, and you don't really get the good sense of it until, here's the thing, that if I'm persistent enough, or if I'm jerky enough, or whatever, at the end of this, there might be an outcome that I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't work this hard. Yeah. Again, so it's not about being a jerk or whatever, but it's about I'm putting in hard work, griping on the phone if that's hard work, but I'm putting in the effort, and that effort is going to result in something. Yeah. I don't know what the lesson of that is, other than just maybe there's not a good lesson, because it's starting to feel like the moral of the story is, when you have the chance to really dig your claws into somebody, rip their throat out. And that's not at all the point I'm wanting to make. But I feel like
it's nice to find a doable thing and do it. Exactly. We have a shortage of doable things, and when you find one and you're able to make it happen, even despite resistance, it's extremely satisfying.
It is, but it also brings the other stuff into relief a little bit. Yeah. Because when all's said and done, and Schuyler's got her iPad with the uncracked display, that other stuff is still going to be there. Yeah. And I still don't know what she's going to do, 6 months from now with her iPad with the uncracked screen. I don't know what, is she going to get a job where she has her iPad with the uncracked screen? I mean, that one little piece, ultimately, the big stuff is still there, and it's still daunting. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like getting a little shot of oxygen before you go back up to the peak of Everest. Right. Yeah. I'm in the land of. There's not many of those triumphs. I would like one. Maybe I should go pick a fight with somebody at a phone company. That would feel good. I'm recommending it today, because really. Even though I got a little win. Even though I actually got no good answers, but just the fact that someone wanted to get me off the phone. Yeah. I was like, well, there's a way to do that. You just got to do it.
Do what I want, and I'll be happy to go away.
So and it's funny because, Schuyler doesn't see these things. Schuyler, I mean, she sees me advocate for her, but she doesn't necessarily, she doesn't, I don't think the parts that she always got when she was younger. I don't think she got the parts where it was the mountain.
Yeah.
You know, when she would see me unable to understand her, or she would see me helping her come out of a seizure, or any of the other awful things.
Yeah.
I don't know if she understood how powerless I felt.
Right.
You know? And how just I wasn't dad who could fix things, or I wasn't dad who could make things better. I was just dad who could sit here and wait for things to improve.
Yeah.
And try and hold everything together until then. And sometimes, a lot of the time, that's the best I could do.
Right.
That's the best any of us can do. Sometimes you're just like, yeah, we're going to get to whatever the next thing is, and we're going to regroup.
Yeah.
But the sprint guy, that's a totally different experience. And I guess I'm just kind of gloating because I got to push back. That's actually my entire message today was I got to push back, and it felt inappropriately good.
Congratulations to you.
I recommend it highly.
I am envious.
If you're feeling overwhelmed by the whole disability parenting thing, go pick a fight. So maybe this is my Fight Club recommendation, I guess, in the long run. But
well, thank you for talking to us this month. And everybody knows to stay out of your way for a little bit.
I feel like I should close with an apology, but I don't know exactly what it would look. It would be an insincere apology, so I'm not going to do that.
No. I think you should end with a defiant note of victory.
Exactly. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry.
Well, I hope when we speak to you again next month, you will still be riding high on some victory and not feeling the other end of it. But thank you for sharing that little hit of successful advocacy today.
Well, the alternative would be personal growth, and I'm not ready for that. So we'll go with this.
Talk to you next month.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
And now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. So, Terri, have you updated your website like you said you're going to?
That's a funny joke. Yeah, that'll happen someday. But for this week, I'd like to plug the fact that you and I will be live tweeting the Emmys on Sunday.
Right.
And that is always a lot of fun. I'm a little bit bracing for it this year because I'm afraid that it's the politics and pretty dresses ratio is going to be a little askew. So I will be tweeting about pretty dresses. If people get off and start giving political speeches, I'm going to talk about what they're wearing. That's just the way I roll. So everybody look for that. What hashtag have we done for that in the past, Catherine? What hashtag can we tell folks to look for?
I think we've done like PRP Emmys.
Let's say we are doing PRP Emmys. Okay. But you might want to just check on the program notes for this podcast just in case we change our mind. But you can also follow us, look for us at Momitude, at Sea Hill Echo, and at Parenting Roundabout. We will have all that information
Roundabout chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can look for it there if you don't see us at that hashtag. We forgot what it was and we changed it to something else.
And how about you, Nicole? What do you have to shamelessly promote today?
I actually wrote something on my blog, which has been forever. And I was actually inspired by a conversation I had with Terri. And,
what have I inspired you to do now?
We were talking about potential titles for this book that I'm writing, in case you haven't heard. And
did you write a book, Nicole?
Did I mention that? And so anyway, we were coming up with some titles, and then you mentioned one which I won't really say the name of, but it was kind of a title that suggested maybe teachers could put a little bit more effort into their practice.
In my head, that is going to be the title of your book from now on.
Anyway, so I decided I would take a more positive approach to that and encourage teachers and, pump them up and say, yes, you can do inclusion because you already are an inclusive teacher. You already teach all these different kinds of kids in your classroom. What is one more? So I wrote an article on, teachers, you're smart enough. You're good enough. You can do it. Be inclusive. So that's on my inclusiveclass.com site.
Yeah. It's your upbeat Canadian self. I wouldn't do it.
I'm not
I
sure.
liked our other title better. But
Yeah, it was good.
And I have a piece over on readersdigest.com, and I don't know if it's just the way it's been linked or promoted or what, but this one is getting like more page views than a lot of the stuff I've written over there. And it is 11 words and phrases smart people never ever use.
Oh.
So, start with a clickbait title and it'll get you far, apparently. So things not to say if you want to sound like a smart person.
Alrighty.
Oh,
So that's happening over at readersdigest.com.
Okay.
Oh, I want to go check it out right now, actually. I'm interested.
Have we used any of them in this podcast? Do I need to cut them out?
I don't think so. I think that we are naturally just brilliant.
There you go.
So we don't have to worry about that.
And you're also really good with clickbait titles. I'm going to be hitting you up again for next time. So anyway, yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe so you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Nicole Erdix, and Catherine is at C. Haleko, and Terri is at Momitude. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran for providing our in and out music, and my dog for not barking. And I wish everyone a great week.